I will jump in to that first slide. So just some simple objectives. I really want to simplify the power of social media. A lot of times what happens is we use social media for personal reasons and we think we can kind of do the same thing in a professional world, and it just doesn't match, and so it becomes a little bit overwhelming. So I just want to simplify some of those things too. Um, the hardest, I think, thing to communicate with social media is the return on your investment. A lot of times you have people that wear multiple hats, marketing, communications, or they're doing donor development. I mean, just tons of different hats that they're wearing, and then they throw in social media. And the hardest thing for them to communicate to, the powers that be is why you need a budget for social media and how to explain the return on your investment. And then I want to give you guys some really easy next steps to help you leverage the platform of your choice. I'm going to go over a handful. You can see my little coffee cups over there. So I have these coffee cups because when I first started with social media, I had no clue what I was doing. And as the saying goes, if you're on Facebook, it's because your cup of coffee is I like coffee, hence the likes from Facebook. And it just kind of breaks down with each platform how you share your cup of coffee. So with Instagram or with LinkedIn, it might be, I am a coffee professional and I can tell you about the different types of coffee where you're expressing, your knowledge base. So every type of platform has its own type of language, and we'll go into that a little bit too. Okay, next slide. All right. So this is my favorite thing to look at when I'm making a decision if I should be on a platform or not, and it's the active monthly users. As you can see, there are a lot of people actively using these platforms. This is important, not that you have how many users, because I think I have like 3 Facebook accounts because I forgot passwords when I first started. And I'm pretty sure I have like 8 YouTube accounts because I just couldn't remember which one I was connected to on my phone. But these are the ones that are active. These are people that are getting on and off of these platforms every month. If you look at Instagram, it's at 1 billion active users. And so when people ask me like, which one, I really don't do Instagram. I really don't have anything visual. I say at least show up and claim your space. So if you can at least claim your space, even if Instagram is not your jam, if somebody is looking for you, they'll at least be able to find you and you can link back to your Facebook where you're comfortable at. Okay, next slide. All right, so here's where we're gonna spend a bulk of the time, and I'm gonna go pretty slow so that you guys can ask questions along the way. So we'll go from one cup to the next, and I'll ask if anybody has any questions. But this is really like the breakdown, why you would want to use it, how you would use it, and then any questions that you might have. So your Facebook should be a duplication of your website. Not just Facebook, but all of the social media platforms, they're like job applications. You don't want to leave anything blank. So your About To section should always be completed. Any tabs, any areas that you can fill in, you definitely want to make sure that you are filling them in as much as possible. And it's actually pretty easy to do because you're just going to copy paste whatever's on your website and drop it over into Facebook. And that way you have the same information being shared, Facebook and your website. My favorite tool for Facebook is lead generation. And you can do different types of lead generation with this. My favorite is a $20 ad. I put $20, I get a really pretty picture, I put $20, because all I need is your name and your email address and then your mind, right? And so I have been able to reach 300-400 people off of a $20 ad, just promising a solution of a business service. And so this is your opportunity to catch people as they're scrolling personally in their professional life. So as a nurse, as I was scrolling when the whole COVID thing first happened, there was a class about contact tracing. And, you know, bait, they got me. And I signed up to take that class. This was on Facebook. Facebook, COVID, all of those things are all right together. I was on there personally scrolling, and I was able to take care of something professionally. The last thing that I love about Facebook is collaboration. It is so easy to collaborate and work together in different components and different arenas. So for example, if I have a, let's say, mechanic shop, and I'm going to have a grand opening, and maybe I'm going to have somebody that sells cookies at my grand opening, and maybe I'm going to have somebody that does like balloon decorations at my grand opening, and then maybe I'll have a food truck, right? Those businesses really don't go together, but in just one single post, I can collaborate all of our businesses and showcase one business to the next. Like, oh, this is what you can do. This is what I've done. Here's who I've worked with. Here's who I know. My suggestion, though, when you doing this collaboration is get permission first. I suggest all my businesses turn off the feature to be tagged so that it has to be approved first, because what you don't want is a tag, you know, a collaboration on Facebook that doesn't really meet with whatever your mission or messages or your tone. And this way you can kind of prevent, you know, people going, wait, why in the world is she with that one? You know, so if you are promoting Weight Watchers, you don't want to accidentally tag a donut shop, right? Same thing, because it's just a mismatch of intention. So before I go any further, are there any questions? And tell me if I'm going too fast. I get excited and I'm like a chihuahua and I don't stop.
I just let a couple more people in, so sorry for those who are late. Yeah, if you want to ask a question, just unmute yourself and go ahead and go.
Okay. All right, let's go on to Twitter. So Twitter is that, oops, does somebody have a question? No?
Oh,
okay.
Lisa.
Yes.
Go ahead, Lisa, ask your question.
Oh, no, I don't have one.
Nope. Okay. So we'll go on to Twitter. Twitter is for instant communication. Twitter is what I call my girl platform, right? This is something where you want to just like pick up your phone, text your friend, and tell them something really quick, but you're too busy to like spend all day having a full conversation about it. But you just want to let them know, oh my gosh, did you see such and such? Oh my gosh, did you hear about so and so? That's an instant communication. You want to add your hashtag to that so people can go back and find those instant communications that you leave out. So Twitter is great for making quick announcements. You know, we made it, we arrived at such and such location for such and such event. You're on, you're off, and you're done. You put the hashtags, you kind of have, you know, claimed your fame to being someplace, but you don't go into deep explanation or story or anything like that. Sorry about that. And it's also great for tagging. The best way to use Twitter is to build your followers and who you're following. So for example, I was doing social media for a manufacturing organization, and they do a lot of work with economic development organizations throughout different counties in Texas. And so what we were doing was trying to figure out who are the counties or the economic development boards following, because that's who we wanted to follow, because we're kind of talking to the same audience. So it's a really quick and easy way to figure out who your audience is if you're not really sure. If you know you do a lot of business with a certain organization or a certain type of organization, you can go to their followers, who's following them, and you can follow those people. So it's a great way to build kind of your portfolio or your network of followers or people that like you or things like that. So before I go any further, I just want to check and see if anybody has any questions on Twitter. Dun, dun, dun. All right.
I have a
Link.
question. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Took me a second to unmute. So I run a Twitter account, and I find I get a lot more like bots and just like fake accounts on there. It just feels like a yucky place sometimes. Do you have any advice on how to weed out some of those bots?
Sure. So when you're setting up your account, and pretty much all of them will allow you to do this, there's a feature that asks if, have you ever liked someone and then you saw all of these other ones pop up? All the other different accounts pop up? Okay. So that feature kind of prevents people that you really don't want the association with to follow or find you. So it depends on what you want to do. If you want to be found and you want to do it yourself, like actually manually, follow and follow back, I would turn that feature off so that you can't be found. Instagram does it too. But that does mean that you'll have to spend a little bit more time, engaging with other people and followers to get that kind of conversation going or your feed going pretty well. Otherwise, you could leave it on. I just would block, if it's like, okay, that's not even related to anything that we do or, anything like that. If you block them, because then what you're telling that platform is that's not a good match. And so they'll start to not provide the same type of thing. So again, like if you're Weight Watchers and you find that a lot of fast food places are coming up, it's because you're talking about food. So the algorithm says, oh, that's food. Let me put more food stuff with it. And then once you start to block it, the algorithms are like, oh, okay, not that kind of conversation. And it'll kind of, disappear a little bit.
Thanks.
No problem. And take a sip of water. All right. So if we go to LinkedIn, LinkedIn is where you build your credibility. So this is where you say, this is what I've done as an organization. This is where you highlight your mission and your vision. This is your more traditional corporate, traditional communications, traditional marketing type of platform. This is also where you want to build your portfolio. This is, who who you're connected to, what businesses you do work with. If you're independent or a freelancer, you want to include business projects in your portfolio as well, in your profile. Because what you're doing is you're linking yourself to another organization. If I have done a project with HEB, it would be really beneficial for me to say that I've done a project with this person at HEB. So as people are looking at, what you do as a business or organization, they're also looking at what have you already done and what things are you trying to complete. For LinkedIn, it's really important that you have your business page and you have a personal page. I also heavily suggest that if you have employees that are going to tag your business, that you have some sort of agreement or policy in place that says if you're going to tag our business, these are the things that we need for you to follow. And as you can imagine, in the past couple of months, there's been a lot of, disruption and communication based solely off of that. A lot of people have lost jobs. A lot of businesses have been attacked. And so you want to be, proactive. And if you're going to be on LinkedIn, specifically, especially LinkedIn, you definitely want to have that because this is going to be your business to business portfolio. And this is going to be where people are definitely more serious about connecting and converting. And you don't want to have any of those things kind of in the way or causing a distraction to what your mission is. So before I go any further, Are there any questions about personal or professional page for LinkedIn? Okay. All right. So YouTube is all about storytelling and tutorials, right? So you want to make sure that you are telling as many stories as possible and solving as many problems as possible if you're going to be on YouTube. I suggest that you don't just cover events. I see a lot of organizations, especially nonprofits, they have the video from a luncheon, but that doesn't actually tell a story or solve a problem. And that's what YouTube is really for. More people go to YouTube to find a solution or to kind of relate and connect to an organization. It helps build trust because there's a visual and it's not quick. So on Facebook, you typically have a quick video that kind of is in and out and done. Whereas with YouTube, you can have, a playlist of a certain topic or service or product that you have. And you want to just make sure that you take your time to organize your YouTube channel so that your artwork is appropriate, that you don't have contact information in your banner cut off. We see that a lot. And you want to make sure that you separate your playlist. So for one of the organizations, if it's has multiple programs, you could separate your playlist by the different programs. Children's program, women's program, men's program, families, things like that, so that it's easier to find. Because what will happen is if somebody likes one of your videos, they will start to look for other videos to solve other problems or to give other stories. And this is a great way to promote brand messaging. So a bonus is for you if you're not really heavy into YouTube, but maybe you're heavy on Facebook. If you go live on Facebook, you can actually record it and download it, save it, and you can upload it to YouTube. So you don't actually have to do, a duplication of efforts. You can do it once on Facebook if you have like a grand opening, or you're doing, a story of success or hope, and you want to do it live on Facebook. You can actually save it, download that, and upload it to YouTube. This is where the feels come in. This is where you can be really transparent about the power of your services or your programs, and it allows you to kind of take off, one veil and let people see like what you're really about, like the heartbeat of what your organization is about. So before I go any further on YouTube, I'll ask if there's any questions.
I have a question for YouTube. So, there's a lot of debate and a lot of discussion about the ideal length of a YouTube video. I know you said that Facebook is for shorter, but I have some people say that you can go 45 minutes, or it's really better to keep it. And then another whole group that says, no, 3 minutes, that's as long as anybody will ever watch on YouTube. Do you have any feel for that and how YouTube may be evolving more as an educational channel? Do you have, as far as timing and how the length of things?
The truth is, it is what your audience wants. That's really the truth. So my suggestion is to have an introduction that describes what your page is about, your YouTube page is about. And then you want to have an introduction for each video. So whether the video is 10 minutes or 45 minutes, let people know right away, by the time you finish watching this video, you'll be able to do this. And then that gives them the concept of, okay, the first thing they do, everybody does it. When you find a video that you think is good, the first thing we do is we look at the time, like how much time is this going to take, right? Mm-hmm. So what the industry has started to do is do part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 of a video. So instead of having a 45-minute video, what they'll do is they'll break it up into 3 or 4 videos. which is great because it pulls your analytic numbers up and it gives people kind of permission to stop watching without having to like go find something else by somebody else. So for YouTube, definitely pay attention to your analytics. If you're just starting out, the basics that you want to have is your introduction. And when you open up your YouTube page, there's a place to put your introduction video. And it just is what you're going to be talking about in all your videos for the most part. And you want to create playlists that clearly define the different topics that you'll be talking about. And then for each video, you want to let them know in the first like 5 seconds, this is what you're going to be able to do by the time you finish watching this video. And as you get into the video, if it goes over like a 10-minute mark, then you want to say, you know, go here for part 2. The link below is, you know, or part 2 is in the link below. And then what that does is if they feel like, okay, I need more information, they'll go to that second link, which is great for your analytics because it'll boost it. They'll see more of you, more of their friends will see you. But the truth is you can only truly judge what works best by your audience. If I have a bunch of moms and I'm doing problem solving videos for moms, you know, a 45-minute video on how to do something that takes 2 minutes is not going to work. So you want to make it a realistic video. If the actual thing that you're solving or showing only takes me 10 minutes to do, then my video shouldn't be more than the 10 minutes. I hope that helps a little bit. So look at your analytics, watch your analytics. Anytime I start with a new client, you'll see different versions of what we put out. So longer versions, shorter versions, micro versions, until we can read what the audience is really looking for. And we'll just keep moving in that direction. So if you start out with a bunch of 45-minute videos, your analytics will tell you people started falling off after minute 3. So you know you need to bring it right back down or create those part 1, part 2, part 3 type videos and no more than 3 or 4 minutes. So if you're looking for somebody that is doing like auto mechanics, some of their videos are like 2 hours long because I think it's just the audience base, right? I find the video, I find the person that tells me exactly what I need, and I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna pause it, and then I'm gonna go do the thing, and then I'm gonna go watch it, and I'm gonna pause it, I'm gonna go do the thing. And they'll repeat that for 2 hours as they're trying to fix their own car, right? If you're remodeling a bathroom, I don't need to watch you paint the walls. Like I got that. A technique, maybe, but I don't need to actually watch you paint the walls. That's why you see a lot of videos going super fast to kind of get through those things, but still show you the work.
I have a question.
Yep. Yes.
So I wanted to know if you were doing a Zoom video conference, would you upload that to YouTube? Would that be a platform you would want to use to reach a broader audience?
Absolutely. The great thing about being digital is you should record everything that you do, and then you just have to be mindful of who your audience will be. So if I were to teach a class on social media, if I'm teaching it to promote my knowledge base about a certain topic, then I would make sure that no one can see the audience or the guests that are signed in. I would make sure that it would just be either my face and the visual, but I would definitely record it. With Zoom, it has a feature that it tells you that, it's being recorded. So you have some, safety in recording. Oops, I just lost the screen. Okay. You have some safety in recording, but I say record everything. One of the things that me and Juanita are always like, knocking ourselves in the head is we have these great conversations and we don't record them. And so we're like, man, but you can't really, duplicate something that's organic. So any chance that you're going to be, doing a Zoom call, Skype, going to an event, you definitely want to record it. If you're afraid to go live, record it, edit it, highlight it maybe. But yeah, I would definitely record your Zoom calls as long as it's appropriate and that everybody is aware that it's being recorded. Any more for YouTube? All right, so I'll go to Pinterest. So Pinterest, I want to say it was 2011, maybe 2011. My friend was like, "Oh, you should check out Pinterest," and I was like, "It's just a bunch of how-to things that go to a website, that go to this, that go," and I was like, "There's too many steps. I don't want to do it. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to do anything with it." Fast forward like 30 days and I was addicted. I had like Pinterest boards of how to redo this and how to make that. And at this point, Pinterest was very domestic. So it was, more things about DIY for stuff around the house. And then they got smart and realized that, okay, some people don't want to watch the video. They just want to see the images or the steps to create something. And so recipes were born. And then all of a sudden they were like, okay, if we can create micro steps, hello to the infographic of how things are done, that's all people need. People are very much, give me what I want and leave me alone and let me try and work on it. And then if I can't fix it, then I'll come in and I'll reach out to you. And that's what Pinterest is. Pinterest is, I think, the most forgotten platform for all business types. And here's why. Because people still associate Pinterest with a very non-professional platform. So it's not. The great thing about Pinterest is you can take any image on your website and create a pin. You can have an image on your website with a little pin to Pinterest link, so it's clickable, like a click to tweet. You can click to pin, so other people can do the work for you and pin your stuff if they like it. But it is the best link back platform. So link back is when I go to something that I like and then there's another link to it, or I have to click on something to get in deeper or more information. It is extremely shareable. And the best part is there is a very, very long shelf life. If you were to search the other platforms that we've talked about, you would find one of two things. It doesn't come up because if you do a Facebook search, it limits how many things are going to come up in that above the fold in the first few searches. Or if you do a hashtag search on Twitter, you get all of the hashtags, right? So it's really difficult to find exactly what you're looking for. However, on Pinterest, their algorithms are a little bit different. So if I am a lawyer offering services to nonprofits, I can go in and give them step-by-steps, like how to become a nonprofit in an infographic, and then I can link it to my website because my website is my home. It has all the information that they'll need to get in touch with me. And that information stays floating out there. So as soon as somebody goes and they Google how to start a nonprofit, Pinterest works really hard to be very searchable. And so it competes with the Google search. And so it is up there right with it. If you were to Google a recipe right now, chances are in that top 5, one of them is coming from Pinterest. And so that's not just recipes, but it's also going to be different types of searches. The long shelf life, that link is there until you remove it. So my suggestion is to create info-link style images. These are the longer images that have some step-by-steps to it, but it's like a teaser. So people will want more information. So if we provide lunches for a school, Your step by step might be, how you do the distribution of lunches, and how somebody can help, or what happens when they donate. When you donate, these are the things that happen. These are the steps of what happens with your donation. People will share that. People like to be able to share information. Infographics are what Pinterest is all about. And if I'm the first person to share that, then I feel like I have done my deed for the day and I'm ahead of the game. And so that's what people want to be able to do. And so they'll share it on Pinterest on their own boards for themselves. So maybe I want to start a nonprofit, and maybe my friend wants to start a nonprofit. Once I go on and save a pin to my board, now my friend pretty much has access to what I'm looking at because we're friends. We're associated on other platforms too. All right, any questions about Pinterest? Pinterest is a different one, but it is so worth it. So worth it. And you don't have to recreate the wheel. So the infographic that you use for your website, you can just use that image on Pinterest and link it back to your website. All right, Instagram. So when Instagram first came out, it was kind of misunderstood. A lot of people were like, oh, it's for photography. Oh, it's for, younger kids. Oh, it's not really a place for business, but it really is. So a lot of service organizations highlight the lighter side of their brand on Instagram. So yes, we might be solving, housing, lack of housing, but we're gonna highlight on Instagram new furniture that we picked up. So we're highlighting a visual thing for our program, or the same mission, but just the lighter side of it. This is visual, visual, visual. My number one tip for using Instagram is don't put all of your hashtags in your text. So I love furniture, hashtag wood, hashtag dresser, hashtag. Don't do that, but put your organization's hashtag, and then if it's a dresser, put hashtag dresser. And then go back 24 hours or more later in the comment section and add the other hashtags. And what you'll do is you'll drive yourself up in the search of hashtags, and then when you go back and add the hashtags in the comment, you'll drive yourself up again. So you kind of get to double dip into your analytics and your reach. Any questions about Instagram for business?
Can you talk a little bit on influencers with Instagram too?
Sure.
And how that might apply.
Absolutely. So influencers are truly the bread and butter. The influencer that I'm getting ready to say, everybody knows who she is, Kim Kardashian, right? She is an influencer not because of her own product or service initially, but because she talked about other people's products or services in an interesting way. So I'm able to connect with this type of audience. And so I will find an influencer. Let me give you an example. Had an organization that was hosting Mommy Nights Out. And we were trying to promote some children's services for a behavioral health nonprofit. So I went to the influencer and I was like, what do I need to do to get you to name drop our organization? She was having an upcoming event. We paid for a table. She went on social media, talked about the programs that we had. We saw an immediate uptick in calls and emails because they trust her. They don't know who this nonprofit organization is, but they know this influencer. She spent her time putting out content, building relationships, building trust on whatever platform she's on. So they trust that whatever she says is golden. And so when you take an organization that maybe isn't well known by a certain audience or is brand new, and you pull an influencer in, what you're doing is you're riding the curtails of their trust. It goes back to utilizing that collaboration on Facebook and building that credibility on LinkedIn. So to have an influencer on any platform is powerful. I used to do lean healthcare, which is a certain type of healthcare where you don't waste like, products or equipment and things like that. And there was a gentleman that used to put out books. I mean, tons and tons of books about lean healthcare when it first came out. And he was the only go-to for that source of information. So everybody trusted what he had to say. So if he said, don't use a certain type of equipment because it was a waste, people would not use that type of equipment because they believed him based on his knowledge, based on the relationship that he spent building, based on the content that he poured out. If you can find an influencer, absolutely go with an influencer. If you're not sure what type of influencer to go with, nail down your audience that you're trying to speak to, and then ask who your audience is looking at. So a great way to do that is Twitter, because it's very easy to see who's following who on Twitter. And so if I am selling, nail polish for puppies, I can go to, Petco's Twitter page and see who's following them. And based on the list of people that are following them, I can say, oh, wow, this person has, 150,000 people following them. Let me connect with that person. That's an influencer. So that's where your likes and follows matter when it's time to influence.
I'll share a quick, yeah, that does. I'll share a quick story about that. I had a local nonprofit. They found, I don't know, he is some artist or I'm not sure what his affiliation was. He put out some sort of tweet, or I think it was on Instagram, about this nonprofit, and was like, you guys are going to waste your money on this. Why don't you send me $10 for that? He had $10,000 in 10 minutes for this nonprofit.
Yeah, because people trust him, not so much the nonprofit. Yeah. So influencers are great. And a lot of times it's not very expensive at all, because all you do is build their audience base and help them grow anyway. Most influencers are very smart, so they have affiliations with different products and services, and they get paid that way too. And a lot of times for a nonprofit, they're usually more than happy to help out. All right, we ready for Snapchat?
I have a question. I still have difficulty kind of understanding hashtags and how to create effective hashtags. Can you speak a little bit to this?
Sure. So hashtags actually came from coding, like behind the scenes, like website coding, things like that. They were just ways to find searchable topics. And it just kind of crossed over into mainstream a little bit. And so what happens is people, when they want to find something on a platform, they'll put in hashtag bikes. And then anybody that has posted that hashtag, it will come up. Hashtags are also tricky though, because if you are using a hashtag that is saturated, you'll get lost in the millions of hashtags, which is why you see, like, let's say if it's a mom, you'll see hashtag mom of boys, hashtag mom of 3 boys, you know how it keeps breaking it down. So that way, no matter how you're looking for that mom hashtag, at some point, she'll be on a smaller list and easier to find.
Right.
When you're creating a hashtag for your organization, my recommendation is that your hashtag and your business tag are very close together. So when you're on Facebook, if you look at the business profile icon, right below that, there's an @ and then whatever the business tag is. My suggestion is make all your tags and your hashtags the same, so that whenever you have to share anything, you're putting your tag and your hashtag in it. And if somebody shares your stuff, they don't have to figure out what you are. I know when Instagram first came out, businesses were not tagging themselves as the business. They were making up these different tags. And so if it was ilovemycat.org was the name of the business, they would put at Heart Cats. But if I'm looking for ilovemycat.org, I'm not going to look at Heart Cats, or search for Heart Cats. So you want to make sure that it's very similar to your business as much as possible, and that it kind of makes sense, that it can be easily tracked. You also don't want to get something that somebody else has. So, for example, you don't want to have a business, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, that has the word COVID. Like maybe your organization, the letters, make that of COVID. You don't want to put hashtag COVID now, right? Because you will never be found, because everybody's putting hashtag COVID. So you do want to make sure that it's unique, but that it is in alignment with what your organization's name is. Because people, they don't go too far off in the left field into creativity to pull out, okay, could it be I heart cat? Could it be I love cat? You know what I mean? They're just going to go for one, and if you don't have it, they're done and you're out. So whatever your @ is, your tag, make it your hashtag as well, and make it very similar to your business name. So it's easy for people to put all three together: the name, the tag, and the hashtag.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Ready for Snapchat? Okay. So I have to confess, Snapchat, I think, is the one that I use the least, except for events. And I love it for events because it has a feature where it allows you to be in a physical location, and then you automatically see a tag that says where you're at. So I think it's a great way if you are in an industry where you're moving around a lot, or you're servicing different organizations or different places. It's a great way to really quickly say, I'm here, I'm pulling up the information that they have, I'm connected to this organization. But more importantly, if you get on Snapchat, it should make you laugh. So if you can't figure out an angle for the service or product that you provide to make people laugh, then Snapchat might not be the best place for your organization. However, I do recommend making sure that you do your geotasing, and make sure that you have for your organization identified an image that people can use that will pop up if they're at your organization. So if I am at Mall of America, and that filter, that geo filter can come up, then I'm at Mall of America. And I might not post anything as a Snapchat page, but I have a geo filter that will pop up for anybody that's visiting Mall of America. Because what you're doing is you're creating free advertisement, and your geo filter can be whatever you want it to be. I've seen outlet malls do, they have these like membership things. Like if you go to their little concierge desk at an outlet mall, you get like a discount or some money back or bonus points or things like that. And I've seen places, geo filter for getting that membership. So it can help for lead generation, and it is free advertisement. So if you don't have kind of the funny behind the scenes quirky things to share, at least do your geo filter. And a geo filter is much easier than it seems. Facebook does a geo filter too, but Snapchat is really aggressive about making them available. And all it is an image with zero background so that it can be uploaded. And that's it. That's it. You put in your address, the address that you want the geofilter to ping to, and then you create the image. And so, it's almost like a one and done kind of thing, even if you can't be on the platform posting all the time. So, any questions about Snapchat? No? All right, TikTok. Are you ready for TikTok? Who has seen the videos where they're in the mirror and they're spraying the mirror and then they swipe up and down, and then like on the third swipe, they change outfits or backgrounds or something like that? Those are all derived from TikTok. I am right now absolutely obsessed with TikTok because one, it's trending, it's new, but it combines all the great things of all the other platforms in one snippet. So you have no more than 60 seconds to get a message across, which means I don't have to be on your video for 20, 30 minutes. I can do something fun and energetic, but I can also give information. So if you imagine a very visual, fun video of an infographic, that's kind of what TikTok is. There's still a lot of businesses that are on there. You can purchase ad space on TikTok. You can be an affiliate on TikTok. So the revenue generating part is there like any other platform. The thing that's great to jump on it now is it's trending. So you literally have people getting on TikTok for 4 and 5 hours, stuck, glued to TikTok, because the videos are so intriguing and fun and interesting. And I can't tell you how many times I have actually text messaged a video to myself because the information was so valuable and I wanted to be able to go back and find it. So it just kind of combines all the great things of all the other platforms in one space, plus it's trending. So you can get on there and be the subject matter expert for a topic very easily right now. So if your mission is school lunches, or your mission is housing or things like that, it's very easy to get on and be that subject matter expert and really go from 0 likes or shares or anything like that to literally thousands and thousands within a week. So again, with all the platforms, even if you're not going to be posting on a regular, claim your spot, get your tag, get your hashtag for it. Have fun with TikTok. If you can't dance, perfect. If you don't have rhythm, perfect. If you're looking for a way to get like your executive director, to loosen up a little bit and have some fun, this is the perfect platform to do that because everything is blessed. Like you can't mess it up. It doesn't matter how bad the video is. It's accepted and loved. It's that redheaded stepchild, but the opposite. Like everybody loves everybody on TikTok. You do have comment trolls, but that's with all platforms. That happens all over the place. But you can also save your TikTok videos and download them and upload them to other platforms. So TikTok didn't get well known until people started to upload them to Facebook. So again, you can still let people know that, hey, we still have this lighter side of us, and they find you on TikTok or they find you on Facebook, but you're always leading them back to your website somehow. And so love TikTok. I highly recommend, if you have not watched it, that you get on and watch it just to, calculate the amount of time that you're going to spend. I always, before I start a new type of platform, I have a little thing on my phone that tells me like how much time I spent on social media. And I went from, my typical is about 40 so hours a month because I use different platforms to do my work. And I went to 70 hours the first month I was on TikTok. And I wasn't even trying to like figure it out or anything like that. Do the TikTok, even if you just watch TikTok, to see how other people are doing it. You have lawyers giving out information. You have doctors, nutritionists. You have nonprofits. You have nonprofits explaining like, you know, oh my gosh, this is what you did. When you gave us that $500, this is what we were able to do. You have the children of the programs that the donation was sent to giving, you know, doing little dance moves and steps. And it's just, it kind of lightens up everything. But you still have, you know, the same political stance and things like that, social stance on there, but it's so much lighter and people are hungry for that break right now. So now is the perfect time to jump on TikTok. Any questions about TikTok? Just watch your screen time. You'll be on it forever.
I have a question. So when TikTok started being popular, I was hearing a lot of, especially as a parent, about the exposure that your kids might see something that was really truly inappropriate. So as a business person or a nonprofit or just somebody who wants to maintain the integrity, how do you, 'cause I've never seen TikTok, so I don't understand. Is it like Facebook where you can choose who follows you? I mean, is it by relationship, or how do you ensure that it is going to be secure?
Sure. So every platform has to abide by certain regulations, by Google, by Apple, you know, communication regulations, that they can't just have whatever they want on there. So there's even one, I don't know if you remember a few months ago, where you started seeing all these like cookie pop-ups at the bottom of a website. Like it could be a website you go to all the time, but then you start seeing all these little pop-ups where you have to accept and agree. So what that is are those federal regulations saying you can't just put on here whatever you want to put on here, and we're watching, right? And so you have that component, and then you also have to remember that with any space or platform that you put your content on, that platform owns that content. Meaning, if you put it on there, it can, whatever they want to do with it can happen. They can delete it, they can highlight it, they can switch up algorithms and it be placed in the wrong area. It does have some of the same features where you can follow certain people. When I first started, I was just following the people that were giving me happy, good vibes and tons of information, right? And then after about a month, I no longer needed to look for more people like that because I was enjoying the content that was being put out by the people I was following. So, which is similar to all the other platforms. Social media is like money. It is exactly what you make it out to be. So if you do corrupt things with your money, then money is corrupt. If you do good, positive things with it, then it's good and positive. So the thing that you can manage and control is what content you put out there. That's why I say get on it to see. You'll see, you know, so many different things from so many different arenas when you first get started, because they don't have kind of an algorithm or profile for you. As you start to like certain things, you'll start to see more of those things. And then it's completely up to you, like, okay, this is good, this isn't good, maybe I do like it, maybe I don't like it. The reason that it's a great time to test the waters now is because the amount of subject matter experts is low. And so if you are a subject matter expert, or you have a mission that is unique, or a service or product that is unique, it will be seen easier and faster right now because it's not a saturated market. So what you could do is just try to view it, see if you can find someone that's kind of doing something similar to what you want to do, a service or information, things like that. In the mental health world, you have a lot of therapists that are on TikTok kind of breaking down different types of mental health diagnosis, which is great because it removes that stigma, because it's a fun, energetic, positive vibe environment. And you're talking about, adult ADHD, but you're breaking it down. You're like, ooh, I didn't know that. And you will absorb it, and then you will follow that person. And so you just have to figure out like your voice on there, but with any platform, same thing. Do you remember a while ago when Zoom hit a lot of heat because people could just kind of jump on to the kids' classrooms and things like that? And they immediately came out with a fix for it. So unfortunately, we can't filter 100% because it's digital. It's like a house, people can break in. There's just too many entry points where people can break in. However, there are a lot of things that are being put in place, especially now that the world has gone digital, to safeguard the things that are important to us, to safeguard our content, to safeguard, our children, things like that. And you can also, in a lot of the settings for all of these profiles, like YouTube, you can exclude any poor language. So if you don't want, any poor language or anything like that popping up, you can exclude it so you don't even see it when you do a search, on YouTube. So there's a lot of things that are in place, but it again is just one of those things, like money. You just it's how you decide to use it that will make the difference. And even if you use the elements of TikTok, like to record the TikTok and then upload it to your Facebook, you can actually not have all your stuff on TikTok, but you have that same fun, energetic vibe on a platform that you're more comfortable with. So you can use it both ways.
DC, this Harriet, on TikTok especially, I've listened to some of the news reports about TikTok and the Chinese and their ability to hack into TikTok and get your personal information and probably learn more about you than you want. Can you comment on that? And I guess also as it relates to the other social media.
Sure. So it happened with all of them. It happens with all of them. Anytime there's a new platform, TikTok has actually been around for a little bit, but it just became popular since everybody's been at home bored. But it does happen with all platforms, especially when a new platform comes out. I remember when Twitter first came out, it was like the gateway for people to access all of your bank information. Like that was what it was for. And most people refuse to get on Twitter because, the hype around it was, this is how people can access your information. So you can do a couple of things with that. You can, for your account information, your profile information, set up an email that is just for your social media. So, if you use, hh@mybusiness.org, set up one that says social media at mybusiness.org. And then what you have is any confidential information that you have coming in and out of your email, you just created another barrier for them to breach. So that's one way you can use it. If you have, if it requires a business address, you can simply put in, 123 Main Street. You don't have to actually put in your actual business address. Unfortunately, with any platform, any app, any website, the second that you open or click on anything, you are subject to being targeted. So there's no more risk on TikTok for them getting your bank account information than there is actually opening your bank account information on your laptop. It just gets kind of scary because it's new, and the bots come out like, oh, this is not good because they can access all this information. But And that's true. Originally, when anything comes out, they don't have the same barriers as something else that's been out for a while. And so you have that little bit of a lag. I have a friend that won't buy a new iPhone. He always waits for like that second edition of the iPhone to come out because he's like, I want them to work out all the bugs before I go get it. And he does it with everything. And so it's the same thing. But TikTok has actually been out for quite a while now. It's just become popular recently in the past couple of months with everybody at home bored. Good. All right. I think next slide. Yes. So what next? Like, what do I do now? I always say, you know, don't attend anything if you can't walk away with something actionable. And so I try to make sure every presentation you can walk away with at least one or two things that you're like, okay, I can accomplish that in the next 7 days without a problem. So I'll just go through for each thing, kind of some of the things you want to be able to do or check on in the next week to make sure that you're really optimizing each platform. Before I do that, I do want to just give a couple of quick points. So when you're trying to decide to get on social media or come up with a plan, be intentional and decide on a desired outcome. A lot of times people are like on Facebook, oh, I want to have 5,000 likes, and that's great, but think of it as a place of business. So if I have a mall and I have 5,000 people that come to my mall, but nobody buys anything because they don't see anything of value, don't see anything that they want, I don't have the right size, and I've just spent all this time building this mall for 5,000 people to walk in and walk back out, versus having 100 people come to the mall and each person spend loyally for services, products or services over and over again, and then they tell their friends of what I have. So it's better to have 100 committed people to your mission, your goal, your product, your service, than it is to have 5,000 non-committed people. So don't always get caught up on, oh, we hit 5,000 likes, but you have 0 conversions or 0 ways for them to donate or give back or engage with you. Just be careful that you're intentional with your post, so that each post there's a purpose. We go to the store with an intention of purchasing something and bringing it back. People go to these platforms with an intention of entertainment, tutorials, problem solving, resources. Even if they're going initially for entertainment, there is this underlying expectation that they'll be able to walk away with something after getting off, even if it's just to be the first one to say, I found something out, which is how we have all this kind of like fake news going on. The reason we have so much fake news is because people spread it like wildfire, because that's their walk away. I want to be able to walk away with being the person that shared the information first, right? Be authentic on each platform. Be your whole true self. If you are not funny and you are not energetic, stay away from the platforms that kind of require that of you, because you don't want it to be forced or feel like it's forced. And that will kind of lead to this, I don't know what that's about, click, and they'll, block you, delete you, go on, and you'll never show back up in the algorithms, even though your mission is really powerful. And then you want to have a plan that is in alignment with your organization's North Star. So if the goal is to get, 100 new donors, then all of your posts should somehow be leading people to those donors. So just be intentional and be in alignment with your organization's mission. Okay. So here are the tips to walk away from for each platform. For Facebook, update your contact information. I can't tell you how many times the website link is bad, the telephone number is old, the address they've moved and it hasn't been updated in their contact information, and then people go find someplace else. Create albums. So if you are heavy on presenting information in photos, create albums for those photos. This is our children's program. This is our women's program. Here's photos from our luncheon. Don't make people scroll through thousands of photos trying to find information or entertaining tidbits from you. And this is where I suggest you use your money to create your ads. It is very simple. Facebook actually walks you through it to create the image. If you create an image that has a lot of words on there, it'll pop up and say, hey, it's got a lot of text. You might want to take some of that off. If you have a wordy message in your ad, it'll say, hey, you got too many words up here. It's going to get cut off. People aren't going to see it. So it really walks you through how to create a lead generation ad. Also, the great thing about this ad is it provides a CRM for you right in Facebook. So if I create an ad and I get 100 people that give me their name and email address, it provides me with the opportunity to say, what are the next steps for these people? So I can say, okay, we're going to email them an offer. We're going to follow up in 30 days. We're going to do a presentation, whatever that CRM, that move management is, it actually allows you to do it right in Facebook. So if you are a very tiny nonprofit and you don't have the means to pay for a donor database, you can use Facebook and it will help you with your lead generation and move your donors through whatever conversion you need. So Twitter is great for conversations and following other people, following their follow. Remember we talked about, if you sell doggy polish, toenail polish, or paw polish, I guess, then you would follow Petco and see who's following Petco, because you guys are going to have similar audience types. So it's a great way to build your audience immediately. And if you're still not a fan of posting on Twitter, what you can do is find them on Twitter and then look for them on Facebook or your platform of choice. All right, LinkedIn, make the ask. A lot of times people are posting, but they won't send messages. I have all these requests to connect, but they never ask me how we can do business together, or they never engage me in conversation. So you're just hoarding connections, but you're not asking for anything. Make the ask. It can be simple things, an endorsement, a review. Hey, I have a new program that's coming out. Can you look at our brochure? Simple things like that. That's how you really build that business relationship on LinkedIn. And also you want to speak LinkedIn. So this is where you want to definitely be professional. You want to make sure somebody is double checking your spelling and grammar, things like that, anything that you put out. There's a lot of groups on LinkedIn of subject matter experts. So if you be on a podcast, so I would go in and say, hey, can you guys take a listen to my podcast and give me your honest review on the audio? So you have immediate access to that, and people are so much more likely to convert on LinkedIn because that's what they're there for. Whereas Facebook, you have such a huge mix of personal and professional. All right, YouTube, we talked about creating that intro video. Definitely want to do that. Let people know right away this is what your YouTube channel is about, and this is what information you're going to provide. And then just like the albums on Facebook, you want to create the playlist. Don't make it hard for people to figure out what videos you have or what grouped information you can provide for them. For Pinterest, share worthy images. So try not to get images that are blurry or the text is very tiny, and don't give clickbait images. So you don't want to say things like, click here for more information. give them some value in that image, and they'll click to get more information. Be specific on your links. So if you have posted a recipe about tacos, don't have the link click back to your main page. Have it click back to that actual recipe about tacos. So be specific in your links. Hashtagging comments for Instagram. We talked about being able to kind of outsmart those algorithms. If you use just your primary hashtag and maybe one or two more in your text, and then go back and in the comment section and add hashtags, you're more likely to be found. The other thing is follow hashtag groups. So if you are part of, you know, a nonprofit that looks for clothes for women, follow, you know, search hashtags, and it'll tell you, you know, how many hashtags are coming up in that group, and you can actually follow the group of hashtags. So if I was a travel agent, I can put hashtag travel, and it'll give me the option to follow anybody that's posting about travel hashtags. Same thing for nonprofits, same thing for a certain type of service. And then you learn who your audience is because they're posting the same thing that you're posting. All right, Snapchat. Again, be genuine, have fun. It shouldn't be forced. Use those geo filters. Use those tags. It lets you tag in the image. Here's a tip for you guys. Every image that you create that has text in it actually helps your algorithm in your search. So if I just have a picture of a dog, that's great. Like I get 10 bonus points. But if I have a picture of a dog and the word dog in my picture, I get 20 bonus points. So adding text to your images will also help in your search as well. And then finally for TikTok. And I can't see what I put on the last one. Let me see if I can do this. Be original and informative. It's quick, insightful information about your program, but it's a resource. So if you are doing mental health for your program, talk about the different types of mental health or different ways to end stigma around it. If you are providing STEM classes, talk about the different types of STEM objectives or the benefits of STEM, things like that. So it's a quick, original, you know, very informative, fun way to get your message across. I think we're on the last slide. We made it. All right. So thank you all very, very much for giving me another opportunity to talk about the things that I love. I know I went really fast, but I'm completely available via email anytime you guys have questions about social media, your personal and professional pages. You can always shoot me an email. Does anybody have any general questions or things I kind of skipped over or went too fast on?
Just on this slide, where are your follows so we can follow you on some of these platforms?
I know. Did you notice that I don't do it, and here's why I don't do it, because I feel grimy. I know I shouldn't, but I do. But mine is So Me Digital for my platforms as well. And you can always find me on there. I'm always on there. I use a different, I use a third-party provider to like manage my social media, because I would get on there and I would get lost in the scroll, and it would be, you know, 4 hours later the next day, and I'd be like, oh dang, I gotta get off. But yeah.
Thank you very much. I guess you mentioned that. Do you use Buffer? Is that what you use, or something else for your management? So
I actually use this thing. It's called Trajet. Let me pull it because they changed the name. Trajet Social. TRAJECT social.com. And I switched to this one because I have about 30 different social media accounts that I manage, and it allows me to do pretty much everything on every platform, including Instagram, which sometimes is difficult. And TikTok is coming around to allow that as well, but you've got to kind of build a coding to get the automatic scheduling in there. I also use that one because it has suggested information. So if I have a client that is a body shop, I can use their suggested post, and they will pull content for me, and then I can just click through and say yes or no to approve the content that they pull for me. And it's fairly inexpensive. I have, like I said, I have about 30 accounts, and I only pay about $200 a month, which is very, very good, because you can have, 5 or 10 accounts and pay more than that on some other platforms.
So you can find information about what Nisi does and some other workshop and types of things that she does that I think are very helpful. Much more of a deep dive into these one-by-ones and workshops. So ask her about those too if you have some extra time and would like, or if you have staff that are specifically assigned to this, then they should get to know Nisi and spend some time in kind of strategy on developing your social media messaging. It's just as important now than ever. Social is where people, they may not always trust the information, but because of the sheer noise of it, that's where people are going for, for their information, for their education, for all kinds of things. So consider maybe visiting with her about, with Nisi, about your strategy and what that might look like, and editorial calendars and things like that. So I'll just brag on